Hello and welcome to Ourhouse. We're going to spend the next 5, 6, 7 minutes talking about some very important truths, but I want to take you on a journey to explain that to you. So let's get that journey underway and strap in and let's see what we can learn. Firstly, I'd like to take you down a journey past where I work a couple of days a week, and work with chaplaincy with Shrips Union Queensland at Thurringau State High School. And one of the things that are important about schools or anywhere in general is the way that you present to the community. As you drive past the school now, one of the things that really I'm passionate about, I know that the leadership of the school are passionate about, is the way that people perceive the school from the outside looking in. Now, it's looking pretty good at the moment. Green grass certainly helps and everything's nice and neat and tidy, but those things matter in the world around us, and perception means a whole lot more to people than just looks. Now, as we head down towards where our current church facility is at, I want to tell you a story about what happened over the holidays. We decided that we would spend some time in some different churches and just be refreshed that way. But one day we decided we'd do a drive-by of Riverside's meeting, and we went about 5 minutes before the service was about to start, and I asked the kids to put themselves in the shoes of friends that they might have invited to church and see what they thought and perceived about the journey and what they expected when they got there. Now, we thought about the fact that as we pondered on these things, we thought about the fact that they told their friends that they'd meet them at the Annandale Community Centre at Annandale Central, but where is the community centre? So we did a bit of a drive-by and we looked at where the cars were, and nothing really was happening there, and we wondered whether people would keep driving around until they found it, and how people would know that they'd found us when they'd actually got there. So we continued to drive, and we were just asking those sort of questions. What are you worried about? What, as your friend who's been invited, what are you expecting? How do we overcome those fears? And then we get closer to the front door, and we know where it is, but we get closer to the front door and we start asking the question, how do you know that there is anybody in there? And do you really want to go inside? Is the closed door an issue? And what happens if you go inside and you find that there's tables? How do we overcome these things? Some of the things that the kids came up with were, that an open door might be really nice, and that if they were invited, that it would be nice to see their friend as the first person outside who would welcome them in. And it was a really interesting exercise to take place. On this journey, there's a favourite coffee shop of mine just down the road that we thought we'd continue down there, and it compels me in. There's something about it. It's not just good coffee, but it's presented well, and there's a professionalism about it. Again, we're a visual people, and hospitality is a visual act as well. Now, I want to make it a bit more personal, and one thing I'm learning is that natural things reflect spiritual principles. Natural things reflect God's heart in the kingdom of God. And when you come to my place, God's really been talking to me about whether or not I am ready to accept people as guests, whether or not I am ready to show hospitality. And I love what Romans 12 talks about when it says to practice hospitality. It doesn't necessarily come easy to me. It's not something that I feel I'm gifted with. Well, we've created this front area outside. Besides my fear of snakes, he certainly helps keep the birds away. But we've created an outside area to welcome people, and we've created a place that we actually live in. So we feel comfortable inviting people to our place, even if we don't know them very well, because we can separate the outside from the inside, and because we can have a sense of security and safety there, so somebody doesn't feel like they're intruding. We've got friends who love to come over and we invite them in, but there's also times that we just feel comfortable sitting outside. And it's just great. It's a great environment that we love to be in, and because we love to be in it, we love to invite people to be a part of our lives as well. And it's all about being ready and willing to accept people. Part of the thing that I've considered as well, and we've been known to live on the worst street in towns, well, that's been in the papers over the last decade, but one of the things that I've really felt encouraged to do is, despite what my neighbours look like, I want our yard to be the best looking yard in the community. I want it to be a place where people drive past and they feel encouraged to come in, not the bad people, the good people like yourselves, to create a sanctuary, somewhere that's welcoming, and that you can be a part of our lives. Now, that being said, you've got some information that you can work with, and it might just help you, because hospitality is an immensely spiritual act as well as a physical one. It's so important that we show love to our neighbour and we show love to others, but that we're ready to do so. And the whole idea in Romans 12 and in other places in the Bible that talk about practicing hospitality is the fact that there is an act of which we need to do. I love how it says in the Message translation to be inventive in hospitality. And all of this, and all of the message around Romans chapter 12 and the letter to the Romans is about love. It's about sincerity. It's about giftedness. Read that before these couple of verses. Utilising your gifts, but also about the fact that we're all to practice, or all to be inventive in hospitality. So what I want to invite you to do is to, with others, ponder what it means to be hospitable. Think about next steps for you. How can you be prepared, or how can you make steps to invite people into your lives, and to think, if people came over, what would I do? How can I create a safe place for me and my family that's also a safe place for somebody else? Now, there's some questions that you might like to use to consider your response to that, but you might have your own thoughts. You might disagree with what I'm talking about, but what does hospitality look like to you, and what's the first perception that you have of people who are hospitable? That might help frame your conversation. And then think about how we as a church can be more hospitable and more open to visitors, and to welcome people from all sorts of backgrounds, nationalities and beliefs, and all sorts of things, and yet still remain in our integrity of love and generosity and following Jesus. Yeah, lots to ponder. I hope that this little segment has been helpful to you. I would certainly love to invite you to be a part of an ongoing conversation around this, so just make sure you head over to riversidechristian.org.au, follow the links and be part of the conversation. Thanks, guys.